The movie The Blob begins with a meteorite landing in a field, and the meteorite pops open, and this little ball of jelly the size of a grapefruit rolls out. A homeless man happens upon it, picks it up with a stick, and for those older folks out there, what happens? Blob jumps on him, right? And the guy screams, bad special effects, but the blob eats him. The blob goes from this big to this big. And then the next hour and a half of the movie, the blob is rolling around this small town, consuming rats, cats, dogs, mice, people, anything in its path. The blob eats and gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And throughout the movie, Steve McQueen is doing everything he can to save the town and stop the blob. And the final scene of the movie ends up with the blob is now, all the people are in a diner, and the blob is what? It's the size of a diner. It's the size of a house, because it has just rolled along and consumed and eaten and grown, and now it is completely covering this diner, and it's trying to break into the glass to eat the people inside. Eventually, Steve McQueen and the Army stopped the blob by what? Freezing it. Now, y'all are starting to see parallels here, right? And then they take the blob, and they take it out to the Arctic Ocean, and they drop the blob, the frozen blob, in the Arctic Ocean, and will remain frozen forever. And that's how I see the role of the AG these days, is that we're kind of the modern-day Steve McQueen. I'm Attorney General McQueen. My job is to stop the blob, except here the blob is not a little ball of jelly. It's a growing, expansive government that is rolling along and consuming and devouring. But instead of eating people, it's rolling along and it's consuming individual liberty. It's devouring state sovereignty. It's destroying and breaking down individualism. It is taking away the very things that make this country great. It's eroding the free market system. And this blob, this federal juggernaut, this government is just rolling along, getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And organisms that consume like that never stop eating. They never stop growing. They only stop when something external stops them, freezes them, so to speak. And oftentimes I've lamented, or I should say joked, that I would love to take Congress and drop them in the Arctic Ocean to freeze them, but that is not the tool I have at my disposal. What I have at my disposal is the ability to bring suits on behalf of the state of South Carolina.